Today, we'll be taking a look at how you can send barcode data anywhere with one of the cheapest barcode scanners that we could find online, all for just a few dollars a month and without having to purchase any expensive inventorying software or know how to write a single line of custom code. Before we take a look at the platform that's going to take our barcode data from our scanner and insert it into a database with order and fulfillment records, let's talk about some goals. Here, a mock fulfillment application for an imaginary bookstore called Leafing Through. And Leafing Through wants to get into the e-commerce space and start fulfilling online orders from online customers. Now, chances are, whether you're using a small-scale Shopify setup or a large-scale ERP system, you have some kind of fulfillment process for these online orders that you want to fulfill. Usually that involves taking items from inventory and moving them to a shipping line so that they can be boxed, labeled, and shipped to the customer. In this really simple demo application that we've built using AI, we have two tables, one for our pick list that has a list of orders that need to be fulfilled, and then the recently picked items for orders that have already been picked off of the shelf and are ready to go to that shipping line. And then we have, of course, our barcode input, where if we go ahead and take a book with a barcode on the back and use our scanner to scan this barcode, we can see within just a couple of seconds that the pick list and the recently picked tables get updated, and we can see that the latest order has been marked as ready to move to that shipping line. Now, how exactly is this working? Because usually when you have some kind of fulfillment or order system like this, there's a lot of really complicated and expensive software that comes along with it. Usually software that may have extra features that you don't need to use, and so you're spending money that you don't need to spend, or it's maybe even a manual Excel spreadsheet that doesn't have nearly the amount of features or capabilities that you need it to have in order to run a real fulfillment system. Let's take a look at how we can meet somewhere in the middle and avoid spending too much money on expensive software or compromising with Excel spreadsheets. So this is the platform that we'll be using today to build some drag and drop connections between our barcode scanner web application and the database that we want to insert data into. You can see that we've already made a few demo organizations, but today we'll be taking a look at the Leafing Through Bookshop demo specifically. And as soon as we click into it, you can see that we already have a space made for inventorying, which we'll get to in just a sec. But before we do, I just want to show you the Teams page real quick. On the Teams page, of course, you can invite members to collaborate with, but you can also create programmatic API keys to access the IoT platform from other applications or services. And last but not least, we have permission sets to make sure that members and API keys have the appropriate permissions to do what they need to do. And before we take a look at our space, I want to cover a few key concepts within the IoT platform first. First and foremost, of course, we have things or devices and services that you want to connect. This could be anything from sensors to databases to web and mobile applications. We also have data models that things will use to communicate with within a channel. And channels are just workflows or logic that power your connections that you want to build for your idea or project. So now that we have a better understanding of the IoT platform at a high level, let's actually dive into a space and take a look at what we're working with. Right away, we can see that we have three channels that were powering the mock fulfillment app demo that we showed earlier. We have, of course, the two channels to retrieve the pick list and the recently picked items for those two tables within our web app. And then we have a third channel that is marking books as picked by moving them from the pick list over to the recently picked collection in our database. So let's take a look at that channel real quick and see how it works. Right off the bat, we can see that our channel is actually pretty simple. We have an HTTP source node so that our mock web application can easily talk to our logic that's in IoT, and we're expecting a put request to come in for this particular channel. And all we're doing is passing that request body from our HTTP source node over to our first document database action node, which we're specifically working with MongoDB Atlas in this particular demo, specifically our inventory database that we have set up in our Atlas instance, and we're using the pick list collection for this action, where we'll be finding the most recent record in our pick list that pertains to that barcode from our HTTP request body. And we'll first be retrieving that and then deleting it from the pick list and sending it along to the next node for our picked collection, which will then take that record from the pick list and insert it into our picked collection, and that will result in our web interface actually updating the next time it goes to fetch both the pick list and the picked tables information. Now, what you're seeing here for this document and query filter syntax in this particular configuration is just our internal syntax for saying, hey, whatever's coming in through the input channel, we'll just use that as this parameter here. So again, what we have is our HTTP source node receiving a barcode in a JSON payload of the request body, and that's just getting passed into this query filter here. And then the document that's being returned from this action node is getting passed into the input of this document database action node, which is again just using that same original document or original payload that it's receiving from the previous node. So how easy is it to just add some new functionality real quick? Well, let's add a notification node so that whenever an item is found and removed from our pick list, we will actually send a email through SendGrid and be able to have an alert for whenever that happens. So as soon as I drag the notification node onto the canvas here, we can see that I don't have a notification client thing yet to utilize for email notifications. So let's go ahead and add a SendGrid client real quick. I'll just go ahead and type in SendGrid for the name here. And from our list of thing categories, we'll select the SendGrid client. And we can see that this is asking for a SendGrid API key, which we actually don't have yet because we haven't created a secret for it yet. So any sensitive information like passwords or API tokens will be stored securely in our secret system instead of some kind of password field that would be stored in our database unencrypted. So we'll go ahead and we can't create this yet. We have to first create a secret for our SendGrid API key. And I have a SendGrid API key already on my clipboard here, which I'll just paste in and hit create. And then now we can go back to our thing creation screen and create our SendGrid client and select the API key that we just made in our secrets from the dropdown. And we can actually hit test to do a quick health check and make sure that we're able to reach the SendGrid servers that we're configured to talk to with the API key that we've submitted. And I'll go ahead and hit create. And now that we have our SendGrid client, let's go back to our channel and open up the notification node configuration. Select the SendGrid thing that we just created. And the sender for this will be notifications@iot.com. We'll send as notifications. And we'll send it to my email address, michael@iot.com, with a subject of, let's say, pick list updated. And for the message, we'll just say an item was moved from the pick list to the recently picked table or collection. And now when I hit save, nothing has changed yet. If we were to scan the barcode from earlier, the same functionality would happen and we wouldn't receive this email. But if I unpublish and publish again, we can now go back to our fulfillment application and grab our barcode and scanner, scan the barcode, and we can see that we still have the same functionality where we're moving the item from the pick list to recently picked. But if I go over to my email client here, we should be able to see within just a few moments that we in fact get an email from SendGrid. And of course, this email has the body that we configured in our IoT channel. Now let's head back over to our web browser and open up our IoT channel again and take a look at how easy it is to observe what's happening within our channel as we continue scanning barcodes. So in the bottom right, we have the view logs button here. And now that we're taking a look at the channel execution logs, we can see at a high level a few things. We can see the status and whether or not this execution completed successfully or if there was some kind of error. We can see when it started and how long it took to complete. And if we click into a specific execution, we can see everything from start to finish, everything from receiving the original HTTP request and what the body was, if we choose to log that, all the way to whether or not the SendGrid client was actually able to send the email successfully. And so that's how easy it is to see and observe your logic as you continue building and continue growing and scaling your connections. So that's the IoT platform in a nutshell. Hopefully you can see how we're trying to make software and hardware connectivity easier and more accessible to everyone. If you like what you saw, you can head over to IoT.com to learn more, or you can join our brand new community Discord server where you can chat directly with us. Also, hit the like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for more demo videos.